The 7 habits keeping you poor. Being wealthy isn't just about how much money you've got coming in. It's a lifestyle, and if you want to be financially successful, you need to know the rules of the game. In this video, we're going to look at the 7 most common habits that keep people poor. If you eliminate all of them, you'll be well on your way to becoming rich. Let's explore it. The first habit is spending money on expensive hobbies and luxury items. Unless your bank account is looking really healthy indeed, you'll want to cut out any expensive hobbies and stop buying things you don't need. Any large, regular expenses that constantly eat away at your bank balance and don't really benefit you in the long run. These could be things like shopping for luxury items you can't afford, like designer clothes or shoes. It could be upgrading to the latest tech that you don't really need. It could be regularly going out for expensive dinners. Each of these expenses might not seem like a big deal at the time, but put them all together over the course of a month, 6 months, a year, and they make a massive dent in your overall wealth. So, next time you're about to buy something, ask yourself, do you really need it? Why are you really buying it? You'll notice that lots of billionaires don't dress in a flashy way. They don't need to flash their wealth because they've got nothing to prove. Resist buying luxury items in the short term, and in the long term, you'll become the kind of person who doesn't need them. A lot of people self-sabotage when it comes to money. When they see their bank balance going up, their natural instinct is to spend it. One thing wealthy people have in common is that they don't waste their money. Next time you see your bank balance is going up, just leave it there. That's a lot of stress off your plate. If you've got nothing in your bank account, I'd recommend 6 months of Spartan living. It's amazing how much money you can save if you really try to stop spending. The second habit is not knowing your income and expenses. Before we talk about investing, saving, or anything else, we need to start with the basics. Do you actually know where your money is going? Most people don't, and that's dangerous. When you don't track your income and expenses, lifestyle inflation creeps in. Wealthy people always pay themselves first. Every month they take a set amount out of their paycheck for their lifestyle expenses, and they don't go a cent over that. Everything else goes automatically into savings or investments. If you do this religiously every month, you'll make sure that you're always living within your means, and over the course of a couple of years, you will have accumulated an astonishing amount in capital. The best way to do this is through setting up an automatic diversion in your bank account. That way, you don't even have to think about it. You just need to set it up once, and then you're handling your finances like a wealthy person. Let's look at some numbers. Let's say every month you were overspending $100 on expensive dinners. Over the course of a year, that's $1,200. If you'd put that $1,200 you'd saved into Nvidia stock just 5 years ago, that would today be worth almost $30,000. That's the power of saving your money and investing it. A good way to track your income and expenses is to use an app, which links to your bank accounts, credit cards, loans, and investments. It automatically categorizes transactions, tracks budgets, and provides spending insights. The third bad habit is waiting too long to invest. Every year that you delay, you're leaving potentially thousands of dollars on the table. Let's talk about compound interest. Compound interest is when you earn interest not only on your initial investment, but also on the interest on your investment. Continue this process over decades, your money grows faster and faster and faster. The longer you leave it invested, the more powerful this process becomes. The world's most successful investor, Warren Buffett, famously said, "Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world." If it's good enough for Mr. Buffett, it should be good enough for you. So, the punchline here is that you need to start investing now, even if it's just a small amount each month. The safest way to do this is to invest in an ETF that tracks something like the S&P 500. That way, you'll be diversifying your investment across all the top 500 companies in the US. And if you're new to investing, don't try to beat the market. Just invest the same regular amounts every month. That way, over time, you'll weather the storms of any sudden dips in the market. The fourth bad habit is getting into debt. In today's society, debt has become so normalized that it often feels like a necessary part of life. We hardly give it a second thought. It's everywhere, it seems so easy. Just borrow now, pay later, right? But here's the harsh truth. Relying on bad debts is one of the most damaging financial habits you can adopt, and it's a trap that keeps you locked in a cycle of financial stress. I think that getting into debts can be really dangerous, so my advice would be to avoid it at all costs, as much as you can. Most of the time, debt carries interest with it, which means in the long run you'll be paying more than things are actually worth. Also, debts can easily spiral out of control. If you're indebted to 5 different things at the same time, and you suddenly have a bad month, perhaps there's an expensive emergency that you suddenly have to pay for, suddenly you might not be able to repay what you owe. Getting into debt encourages people to buy things they can't really afford. They might think they can afford an expensive car because they can just about afford its monthly payment terms, but if you look at the overall cost of the car, with the high interest added onto it, it could actually be well above their means. Over time, this expensive monthly outgoing will eat into their bank accounts and keep them poor. And don't forget, this is all money you could have been investing. The key to getting out of this mess is to stop using credit for things you can't afford in cash. If you can't pay for something outright without going into debt, then it's a clear signal that you shouldn't be buying with credit. It's much better to wait until you're a multimillionaire with a fully paid off mortgage and a strong portfolio of financial assets. Then maybe you can think about buying that Lambo you're dreaming of. Okay, so the 5th bad habit is not having a financial buffer. Life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it. God forbid, it could be an unexpected medical emergency. Maybe your car suddenly breaks down and needs a repair. Unfortunately, these things can sometimes come out of nowhere, and without a solid financial buffer in your bank account, these events can leave you scrambling to make ends meet, or, even worse, push you into debt. That's why building an emergency fund is one of the smartest moves you can make. Aim to save at least 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in a separate, easily accessible account. You can call this your rainy day fund. If you're not used to it, this might seem like wasted money at first, but don't forget, this is still a part of your wealth, and what's even better is if you put it in a high interest savings account, it will actually be accumulating money for you while it sits there. And believe me, if some emergency does suddenly happen, you'll be glad it's there. Start building your rainy day fund now. Your future self will thank you. The 6th bad habit is thinking that saving alone will make you wealthy. This isn't strictly a bad habit, because saving is definitely a good thing, but saving alone isn't enough to build true wealth. While it's great to cut back on unnecessary expenses and stash away a portion of your income each month, there's only so much you can save. The reality is, if you want to significantly grow your wealth, you need to think beyond just saving. Wealthy individuals understand this and approach their finances with a broader strategy. They focus on both saving and earning. Instead of just stashing away the same percentage of the same paycheck every month, they actively work to increase their income. This could mean aggressively pursuing a promotion, or a pay increase,
For the king!
or a higher paying job. It could mean creating additional income streams so they're not just relying on one paycheck, like starting a side hustle or a side business. It could mean investing in assets like stocks, bonds, or real estate. It could even mean investing your time in learning a new skill which could increase your earning potential in the future. The key to it all is not to stay still. You want to be constantly growing and evolving. Over the course of a year, if you learn 3 new high-paying skills, well, that's 3 new income streams you could potentially open up. If you focus only on saving and don't explore ways to boost your income, you'll eventually hit a ceiling. It's like trying to fill a bathtub with one small bucket of water at a time. No matter how much you pour, it'll take ages to fill it up. But if you can find ways to generate more income, it could be like 4 buckets of water pouring into the bathtub at the same time. Think how much quicker the bath will fill up. The combination of saving wisely and earning strategically is what separates the financially comfortable from the truly wealthy. Now, we come to the final bad habit, paying too much in taxes. Now, taxes are often one of the largest expenses you'll face over your lifetime, but wealthy people know a secret. You can legally reduce the amount of tax you pay by understanding how the system works and strategically using it to your advantage. Just to be clear, tax evasion is highly illegal and I definitely don't recommend that unless you want to end up behind bars. But it's not about evading taxes, it's about minimising them in totally legal ways. One of the most effective ways to minimise the tax you pay is by investing through tax-advantaged accounts. For example, a Roth IRA, or in the UK it's called an ISA. It allows your investments in stocks and index funds to grow tax-free, meaning the government can't tax you on any money you make on them. But they're so good, the government will only allow you to put a certain amount in them every year. So, if you're able to, make sure you're maxing it out with the full amount. Another powerful strategy is to operate as a business owner. If you're an entrepreneur or freelancer, you can take advantage of tax deductions that are not available to normal employees. For instance, you can write off expenses such as office space, equipment, travel, and even meals related to business activities. Writing them off means that you won't pay tax on them. For example, if you earn $100,000 over the course of a year, but you spent $20,000 on business expenses, you'll have to pay tax on $80,000. That could mean massive savings when it comes to the time to pay your tax bill. If you're working from home, you can also deduct a portion of your rent or mortgage, utilities, and internet costs. The key is to understand the basics, or hire a tax professional like an accountant who can help you make smarter decisions. The money you save on taxes can then be reinvested into your financial goals, whether that's building your investment portfolio, funding a business, or saving for retirement. Breaking these habits isn't easy. It takes time and effort, but every small step you take brings you closer to financial freedom. If this video helped, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and tell me in the comments what's one habit you're committed to changing. Hopefully, you'll now feel empowered to make smarter financial decisions. Thank you. See you next time.